Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today I'm going to give you 10 affordable fragrances that get me a lot of compliments. So let's jump into it. All right, so today we are talking affordable fragrances that seem to get me a decent amount of compliments over the years. And who doesn't like a good compliment? You're feeling good, you're looking good, and you're smelling fantastic, and someone notices and points it out to you. Friend, family member, total stranger on the street, just like, hey, you smell good, what you wearing? I got 10 of those fragrances for you today, all fairly affordable, between $20 and $50. I'm gonna have links down in the description if you decide you wanna check any of these fragrances out. And to be quite honest, some of these fragrances aren't even my favorites. They just seem to get a decent amount of attention, decent amount of compliments and comments from people, so they had to make it on this list. So let's quit screwing around, let's get into it. All right, first up, we're going to the hype machine from RASASI, and it's RASASI's HAWAS. You can scoop this sucker up for $40 at various discounters, and I think the reason I get so many compliments when I wear this is because people in like Saskatchewan can smell me when I wear this one. Really a great performance on this, 10 plus hours of longevity, and this just blasts off my skin when I do wear it. Opens with a very nice, fruity, sweet style of apple. It's got some lemon, some bergamot mixed in there, some nice warm spice from some cinnamon, some cardamom. It's got this driftwood note in there. It gives it a nice masculine base. It has a bit of an aquatic vibe going on to it, but it's a very sweet, fruity style of apple and a little bit of plum that's kind of mixed in there. Really nice, fun, playful, flirty, yet masculine style of sweet fragrance. A little bit like Invictus Aqua, a little bit on that kind of Invictus-y, bubblegummy sweet style of fragrance. Really, really great casual wear fragrance, especially in the spring and summertime. And the performance, like I said, off my skin, absolutely fantastic. A compliment beast. Every time I wear this one, I have someone make a comment, again, probably because they can smell me from across the street. Awesome, awesome fragrance. Definitely worth picking up. That's RASASI's HAWAS. All right, up next, we're going to the house of Bentley with Bentley's SILVERLAKE. You can pick this bad boy up for $44 at discounters, and this is just a great, classy, brisk, crisp, invigorating, aromatic style of fragrance with like one of my favorite openings. It has this beautiful lemon and mint combo. Very fresh, cooling, sort of like bright citrus mixed with that fresh spicy mint that gives it a really nice kind of green cooling effect. There's some violet leaf that mixes into the mid, gives it kind of this nice ozonic sort of nature, a little kiss of green sweetness, some nice clean lavender working through there, and a nice masculine sort of woody base to it, a little bit of musk mixed in there. Beautiful, crisp, clean style of fragrance. Has a little bit of a similarity to the Acqua di Gio DNA, a little bit of Profumo with like the less incense going on, sort of like the OG. In that sort of neighborhood. I wouldn't say this is a one-to-one clone, but it definitely gives you that vibe when you smell this in the air and on skin. Performance on this, about 6 hours of longevity, and it does push out fairly good for the first hour and a half, 2 hours before it does settle back in. This is like walking next to kind of like a thawed out lake, the early spring, walking through the woods, kind of that mountain breezy with the woods in the air. That's the kind of vibe you get from this. Very cooling sort of sensation, nice clean aromatics, and just the masculine woods in the base. Awesome, awesome fragrance. Anytime I wear this, someone always comments about how classy I smell. I smell kind of like a gentlemanly sort of vibe. Awesome fragrance, and for 44 bucks, this was definitely worth it. That's Bentley's SILVERLAKE. All right, up next, we're going to the house of Lattafa, and it's Lattafa's FAKHAR Black. And you can scoop this sucker up for about $20, $25 at various discounters, and this is a very popular fragrance within the Lattafa line, and because it's just a compliment monster for the most part. Has that YSL style of DNA, opens with a very sweet style of apple. It's got a little pop of ginger that's in there, giving a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of citrus spice. Very, very sweet apple though. That apple is what really pushes forward the most. As this kind of opens up, you get some nice aromatics that work in there. You get some sage, you get some clean lavender, and some nice woods in the base. Really kind of crowd pleasing, mass appealing, youthful style of fragrance. Has that kind of flirty vibe to it, but it also has that kind of clean, gentlemanly sort of feel at the same time. Great date night style of fragrance. Anytime I wear this one, again, I get people commenting on how I smell fresh, clean, with that little bit of sweetness. I kind of have that youthful vibe going on. Admittedly, this is not my favorite Lattafa fragrance, but again, every time I seem to wear this one, somebody makes a comment on it, and so that's why it's on this list, because this is an absolute compliment monster. The performance on this, about 6-7 hours. I've heard varying things about this lasting way longer and way shorter, but off my skin, 6-7 hours, and projection for the first hour and a half, pretty good before it does settle in. For $20-$25, this is definitely worth your money if you're looking for that kind of mass appeal, crowd-pleasing, designer style of fragrance. With that YSLY DNA, this is gonna do it for you. That's Lattafa's FAKHAR Black. All right, up next, moving to the house of Mont Blanc, and it's Mont Blanc's Explorer. And you can scoop this bad boy up for $44 at discounters. And this is a pretty well-known fragrance. This has been around for quite a while and is known for having that Creed Adventist style of DNA, that Club de Nuit Intense Man style of DNA. And this is just an absolute compliment monster. It's so versatile. You can wear this across so many different seasons and occasions. That might be part of the reason I get so many compliments, is because I can just wear this anytime, anywhere. Really nice kind of tart, citrusy bergamot in the opening. It's got this pink pepper that gives you a bit of a nose tickle kind of spiciness to it, but also has a little bit of sweetness mixed in there. Has some nice woods that are mixed into the base, a little bit of this like Indonesian patchouli that's mixed in there, giving it kind of an earthiness to it. This has just a nice woody, aromatic, sort of green, piney spice that works into it. And in the dry down, you get a nice little bit of musk that's worked in there, some ambroxan to give it a bit of a push, a little added sweetness. And that citrus sitting on top, just giving this just a nice, bold, masculine, aromatic, clean, woody style of fragrance. In terms of how this kind of relates to like Club de Nuit Intense Man or the Creed Adventist, this doesn't focus on the citrus as much, I find. This is a little bit on the spicier side than those two fragrances, and that citrus is still there, but it is kind of dialed back, especially with that Club de Nuit Intense Man that's just kind of a lemon blast right out the gate. This has like that bergamot that's there, a little bit tart, but it does kind of sit behind. The real story of this is that woodiness, that kind of spiciness to it. Beautiful, beautiful scent profile on this. Absolute compliment monster. Performance on this is really good. I get about 8 hours of longevity off my skin, and it does project really well for the first 2.5 hours. This pushes off really nice before it settles back in. Great casual fragrance. You can wear this across any seasons. Good office wear. You can wear this formally, date nights, running errands. Awesome, versatile compliment monster of a fragrance. That's Mont Blanc Explorer. All right, up next, going to the house of ARMAF, and it's ARMAF's Très Nuit Lyric. And you can scoop this sucker up for $21 at discounters, and this one gets slept on, especially compared to its OG ARMAF Très Nuit, which I think is criminal, because this one is absolutely a beautiful fragrance, and I get compliments on this all the time because it has a beautiful, beautiful, sweet citrus style of vibe going on to it, a little bit of kind of aquatic vibe. Just a beautiful scent profile, very similar to Acqua di Gio Profondo, a little less of the marine sort of saltiness that's in there and a little bit sweeter than the Acqua di Gio, but it does have that similarity. There are some crossovers there, so I wouldn't say it's a one-to-one clone, but it'll definitely remind you of Profondo. Opens with this bergamot and this mandarin with some watery notes, but those two citruses, they kind of play off almost kind of like a lemon candy sort of vibe going on to it. Very sweet, tart, zingy style of citrus with those kind of watery aquatics that work in there. Nice green aromatics that work through here. There's some like really clean lavender that works its way through. In the base, there's this kind of fuzzy style of amber that just kind of adds some texture, adds a little bit of added sweetness to those citrus notes, kind of mixing in with those green aromatics. Beautiful, beautiful scent profile, citrus, clean, aquatic sort of feel to it. And it's just an absolutely beautiful fragrance. Performance on this, I got about 6-7 hours of longevity and about an hour and a half of pretty good projection before it does settle back in. Great spring, summer style of fragrance. It does really well in the high heat, and it just smells fantastic across casual occasions. You can even pull this off in kind of like a fun, flirty, casual style of date night. Awesome fragrance. Anytime I wear this one, I have someone comment on just how kind of citrusy, sweet, fresh I smell. They don't use those words exactly, but I do get comments on this anytime I wear this about how nice I smell, and it's just a beautiful fragrance. Definitely worth checking out, and for $21, this is a steal of a deal. That's ARMAF's Très Nuit Lyric. All right, next up, we're going to the house of ROCHAS, and it's ROCHAS L'Homme. You can scoop this bad boy up for $32 to $34 at various discounters. And I believe I picked this up last spring, and I'm not a huge blue fragrance guy, but I heard this was like a nice unique twist on blue fragrances, a little bit different than your typical Bleu de Chanel style of fragrances. So I thought it was worth checking out, and I'm so happy I did, because this one is just absolutely gorgeous sort of twist on blue fragrances. Really nice opening of this kind of citrus, fresh spiciness. It's got this cardamom, pineapple, warm blood orange sort of accord going on to it. So it's got this kind of warm citrus tang to it, a little bit of sweetness with this fresh, spicy cardamom. In the mid, you quickly get these nice green aromatics coming through, this juniper berry, you get some geranium, some basil that comes through, giving it a bit of a minty profile that's worked in there, but also kind of this piney green aromatic sort of vibe as well. And in the base, you get this tonka, patchouli, and moss that works in there, adding some earthiness to it, a little bit of powdery texture coming from that tonka. Beautiful twist on a blue style of fragrance. It's just very clean, very fresh, but doesn't have that kind of Ambroxan shower jelly sort of vibe going on to it. This is a little bit more natural feeling, like I said, a little bit more green with those aromatics that work in there. And I love that kind of citrus fresh spice combo that's in the opening that kind of lasts throughout the kind of mid and mixes with those aromatics. Beautiful green blue style of fragrance that is just an absolute compliment beast. Very fresh, very clean, but has that kind of green aromatic twist in there, giving it kind of like a little bit more of a down to earth sort of feel. Awesome, awesome fragrance. Performance on this, about 6-8 hours of longevity, and it does project fairly well for the first hour and a half before settling back in. Great casual style fragrance, great in the spring, summer, into the fall as well. Just absolutely gorgeous. Definitely worth checking out. That's ROCHAS L'Homme. All right, up next, we're going to the House of Paris Corner, and it's Paris Corner's North Stag NEUF. You can scoop this sucker up for $37 at discounters. And this is probably the newest fragrance in my collection of this list today. And I've been wearing the crap out of this one. It is still cold here in Canada. It's still pretty much the winter, even though I'm filming this at the very beginning of the quote unquote spring. And I've been wearing this one quite a bit. Grocery store, elevator, date nights. I've been getting lots of people commenting on this one because this is such a beautiful ambery style of fragrance that has just a gorgeous vanillic accord that works into it. Rich, opulent, luxurious style of vanilla in the opening with some nice, fuzzy, warm, cozy style of amber. As this kind of develops, it kind of transitions a little bit more into kind of like this powdery tonka that gives off this chocolatey vibe, this balsamic sweetness that comes from that benzoin, and this labdanum that works through and gives it like a dryness, a little bit like a wisp or kiss of smoke that moves through. The sweetness kind of dials back from that opening as you get to the mid and the dry down, but it's still there. You still get that vanilla vibe, but it has that kind of that chocolatey balsamic sweetness moving in with that dry ambery sort of feel. Absolutely a beautiful scent accord. This is supposed to be a clone dupe inspired by of MFK's A Grand Soirée. And this is just, has such a luxurious feel to it. Very rich, very warm, very cozy, very inviting, almost kind of mysterious and seductive at the same point. And it performs absolutely fantastic on my skin. 10 plus hours off my skin, and projection for the first 2 hours is very good before it does push back in. Great for the cool months, fall, winter style of fragrance. Very casual style wear that you can pull this off, but this is great for date nights as well. Has that allure, has that kind of sexy, mysterious sort of vibe going on to it. One of my favorite pickups from Paris Corner, and one of my favorite pickups recently for sure. Definitely worth checking out. That's Paris Corner's North Stag NEUF. All right, up next, going back to the House of ARMAF, and it's ARMAF's Club de Nuit Iconic. You can scoop this sucker up for $50 at discounters, and this has been getting quite a bit of talk, mostly from me probably, because this is a great twist of that Bleu de Chanel style of DNA, and it is one of the new releases from ARMAF's Club de Nuit line. Absolutely love this one. Really nice kind of sweet, citrusy, fresh, spicy style of opening. Has that mint, has that pink pepper, has those citrus accords, this nice pop of sparkling ginger that works in there. Has that melon note to kind of give it a little bit of sweetness coming through, some incense and labdanum, getting that kind of little wisp of smoke with some nice sort of earthy woods that sit at the base. Beautiful interpretation of the Bleu de Chanel DNA. I would say this one's a little bit fresher than the Bleu de Chanel DNA. Perhaps maybe even a little bit sweeter than that one, which I do quite enjoy. I do like it kind of like a fresh, invigorating style of fragrance, and that's exactly what you get from this. Very blue, shower jelly, kind of clean vibes going on to this one, and the performance on this is absolutely fantastic. 8-10 hours of longevity, no problem, and this pushes off pretty heavy for the first 2-3 hours I wear this one. Great performance, great scent profile on this. Mass appealing, crowd pleasing, compliment monster. Anytime I wear this one, grocery store, in the elevator, going over to a buddy's house, somebody comments on how great I smell, how clean I smell, how fresh I smell. And it's all thanks to ARMAF's Club de Nuit Iconic. Definitely worth checking out. I think the price point of $50 for me personally was absolutely worth it because it's just a beautiful, well-blended, high-quality style of fragrance. That's ARMAF's Club de Nuit Iconic. All right, and up next, going to the house of Jesus del Pozo. And it's Halloween Man Hero. You can scoop this bad boy up for $30 to $37 at various discounters. And this one, a bit of a surprise to me, to be quite honest. I do enjoy this fragrance, but it's not my favorite style of kind of clean, blue, fresh style of fragrances. But again, anytime I wear this one, grocery store, in the elevator, hanging out with people, I always get a comment about just how fresh, clean, sort of sweet I smell when I'm wearing this one. Has a very nice citrus style of opening, grapefruit, lemon, and some ginger. So it has that kind of sweet, tart, zingy style of citrus with that kind of sparkling ginger that works in there. There is some ambroxan, some cashmere that comes through, giving this some nice sweetness, kind of a woody, musky sort of vibe as well. And it does have this kind of salty mineral note that works in there, giving it kind of an aquatic vibe at the very kind of midpoint of this fragrance. But it does transition down into kind of a sweet, clean blue style of fragrance. Nice aromatics worked in here. You get some lavender that just gives it that clean, fresh sort of feel going on to it. Has that touch of sweetness, that little bit of citrus, and that hint of that aquatic vibe going through to it, just making this, again, a mass appeal, crowd-pleasing, fresh shower jelly blue style of fragrance. And it gets a lot of attention and a lot of compliments when I wear this one. Performance on this, decent. I get about 6-8 hours of longevity off this, and then does push off fairly well for the first hour and a half before it does settle back in. Great casual wear fragrance. This is running errands, going to lunch with your friends, just hanging out in general, going about your day-to-day, and perfect for the spring and summer. It really does well in the high heat, I do find. Awesome pickup, $30, $37. Lots of people like this, has that mass appeal. Definitely worth checking out. That's Halloween Man Hero. All right, last, but certainly not least, going to the house of AFNAN, and it's AFNAN's TURATHI Blue. You can scoop this bad boy up for $37 to $40 at various discounters. And this is just a beautiful, fresh, clean, sweet, citrusy style of blue fragrance that has that Bulgari Tiger style of DNA. Absolutely gorgeous, bright, invigorating style of citrus opening. It's got some bergamot, it's got some mandarin, it's got the worst cap for a bottle on the planet. Really bright, citrusy, tangy, zesty style of citrus that opens up, but it has this amber that kind of works through and adds this kind of warmth to it, a little like an added sweetness to it, and a little bit of kind of fuzzy texture to it as well. Really nice balance of that citrus with that kind of sweet accord that works through, and I do like that kind of additional warmth that comes through. So it starts off very clean and very bright, but it kind of gets dragged down a little bit with that warmth. Has some woody notes that kind of come through, very kind of dry style of woods. They're light, they do sit in the background, but they have this kind of dry heaviness to it, a very kind of bold style of woods, but they are tucked behind that sweetness and behind that citrus note. Really, really nice scent accord to this. Again, very clean, bright, fresh, sweet style of blue fragrance, but it has that warmth, it has that kind of masculine woody base that just makes this a great, versatile, clean, fresh style of fragrance. Perfect for the spring and summer months. Great performance on this. I get 8 hours of longevity, no problem, and it does blast off pretty good for the first 2 hours before it does settle back in. Awesome, awesome scent DNA on this. I absolutely love this one. I already know people are going to be asking why I did not include Lattafa's Al-Khayyam Silver in this video. It's because I've worn this a handful of times and I've gotten compliments, and I've worn the Lattafa a handful of times and I have not. And between us, I happen to like the Lattafa better than I like the AFNAN, but it is what it is. I got more compliments wearing this one than I do the Lattafa, and so that's why it's on this list. Even though I like the Lattafa a little bit better, this is still an absolutely beautiful scent profile on this. Gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance, great quality, very smooth, very well blended. Definitely worth the $37 to $40. That's AFNAN's TURATHI Blue. All right, so there you have it. That's 10 affordable fragrances that are compliment monsters in my collection. And I want to hear from you guys. What are some of your most complimented affordable fragrances? Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing your different fragrance recommendations, your hidden gems, scent profiles, tastes. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all next time.